everybody. Happy Thursday. Happy almost end of summer, I guess. My mom is a third grade teacher and she just went back to school last week, so I've been hearing about her new little 8-year-olds running around that terrorize her, but you know. So accounting is still boring. It's still the same since I last presented. I mean, there are a couple new things that I'm going to touch on at the end, like things that are going on in the accounting world, which is still so hard to get myself psyched about, but I try. So I'll just give you a little information about myself. This is my little family. The drone pilot, that weird connection, yeah, so he's actually traveling the world right now, flying for a whole bunch of different companies. And I get to go out next month. We're going to Belgium together so I can see him internationally compete, which I'm really excited about. And these are my children. Keiko, the crazy dog from the Bahamas, and then this puppy is now 40 pounds heavier. So they keep me very busy. I actually got home last night and that one had ripped a massive hole in the carpet in my apartment. I got a quote, it's only $400 to fix, so that's my exciting life. I do a lot of hiking with them, I go to the beach a lot. They take up most of my spare time as my dogs. So this is our team. This is pretty much most of the company, excluding our consultants. So the way we're formatted is there's 11 different states we're in now. We just expanded into Atlanta and Anchorage. We've got a team, so each market has a partner who is, you know, an accountant, a CFO, CPA, and then there is somebody like me who does the business development side. So this is set up because the stereotype holds true. Accountants aren't the most social people. They're not very good at selling their skills, so it's my job to do that for them. So we have a team out here. We've built up a team of 15 consultants. They range from bookkeeper all the way up to CFO, and they just work part-time with their clients. So this is the whole company that's responsible for the sales, the business development. We've got our IT guy, we've got our CEOs right there. Britt's in the other corner, if any of you know the partner out here, and you might know Linda.
I know Linda. We know Linda. Linda used to be a member of this group.
She actually, as of last week, just got a new job, so she's officially leaving now. CFO.
Oh, is she staying in Utah?
She is staying in Salt Lake City. She actually got a job with one of our affiliate partners out there in insurance companies, so she's going to be doing some business development operation stuff for them. So really excited for her. But yeah, so this is the team. We've been in the Bay Area for 7 years. The company itself has been around for 13 years, and we are growing. The San Francisco office has officially split off as of July to its own separate market, so I don't have to drive up there as much. It's very exciting. And yeah. So outsourcing is scary to some companies. Why would I outsource if I can just hire someone and keep it all in-house where I know what things are going on, I can see everything day to day. There's a couple reasons. If you're a growing company especially, let's say you've got a big project coming up and you know your current staff doesn't have enough arms and legs to get the job done, bring in somebody for 2 months just to help out. Maybe you need an expert. Maybe you're switching from QuickBooks to NetSuite, or you've got a new SAP system for your ERP, whatever. You need somebody who can actually teach your people how to use it, because they're great at what they do, but they're not familiar with this new system. Bring in somebody to do that for them. If you're a growing company, if you're a startup, you don't need a CFO for 40 hours a week. They won't have anything to do for 32 hours of that time. So why pay them for that? Out here, the average CFO is like $380,000 a year. It's hard to understand what that average is though, because I don't know if they're comparing like Apple or Facebook to like a startup or a nonprofit. I don't know what the range is, but they say the average with benefits and everything included is $380,000 a year. That's very expensive, especially if you're a small mom and pop shop or a small startup. Yeah, so there's a couple different reasons to outsource, and the easiest way I like to explain it is if you just don't know how you're going to get the job done. If you're overwhelmed and you just need somebody to come support you, outsourcing is a great option there. So like I said before, we have the staff and then all the way up to CFO. So most of what we do is in that controller space. We work with companies, generally speaking, our sweet spot is between 1 and 80 million in revenue. We always talk in revenue size because the accountants are numbers geeks, but for employees that's 1 to 50, 1 to 100 probably. But yeah, so we can do the basic data entry. The staff level is like a bookkeeper. The controller is, you know, an in-between. They're there to make sure everything's done correctly, all the numbers are accurate. If you're working with a CPA, they'll be working primarily with the controllers to make sure all the numbers are right for your taxes, all the numbers are right for your audits. And then the CFO is big picture, forward-thinking, fundraising, anything compliance related, all the new accounting laws that are going into the US GAAP practice, stuff like that. So I like to just explain it in the 3 different ways. This is what makes us different. I have another slide on what makes us different, but this is where we come in handy up here, because not every firm that does what we do offers all 3 levels. They'll put a CFO in there, and they'll also make you pay your CFO to do the data entry. That's not cost effective. It's a lot cheaper to get a bookkeeper than it is to get a CFO. Out here, we've been really successful in construction, manufacturing, developers. As you go up the peninsula, SaaS, startups, tech, biopharma is a big one, life sciences. And then retail has been a bigger one as well. And then across the company, we don't do much with energy out here, but our Dallas, Austin, and Houston teams just do oil and gas left and right. Food and beverage is a big one. And then nonprofits have increasingly been coming up, as well as cannabis and blockchain. That's a fun one. We're still figuring all that stuff out, but it is coming up. And then again, why we're different, we have all levels of resources and we're operationally focused. Everyone remembers JF, he's a CPA firm, so they specialize in taxes and audits. We don't do taxes and audits. We get everything ready so they can have their taxes and audits done. We work on site with our clients. It's outsourced, but we're not sending it somewhere who knows where into the cloud. Like, you actually get to see a person, you have a face that you're working with, you get to know them, they're part of your team. We very, very strictly work within people's budgets. I'm the first person to tell someone if I think we're too expensive for them. If we're not the right solution, I'll find you somebody who is the right solution. All of our consultants are our employees, they're our team. They're not contractors. I'm the one who gets in trouble if we don't have enough hours for them to work. That's my job, to make sure they have jobs. But yeah, if they're on the bench, if they're just waiting between projects, we're still paying them, they're still part of our team. It gives us continuity. We know people aren't going to turn over real fast as soon as they find something else, because we give them benefits. They're part of our team. And then the most important one that I always like to touch on is our consultants are experts. They've been in their field 10, 15, 20 years. They know what they're doing. They have worked public, private, nonprofit. They've worked with the big 4 accounting firms. They have been in audit. They've been in tax. They've been in multiple industries with multiple softwares. You're getting all of that experience without having to pay them for all of their knowledge. Like, on their resume, we pay them the big salary. You guys just pay hour by hour for what you need. So yeah, it makes us a much more cost-effective option than bringing on someone full-time. In terms of networking, I network very closely with bankers, CPAs, investors, attorneys, entrepreneurs, and CFOs. We have brought in all sorts of other resources as well. Next down the list, I'd say insurance is a big one for us, and payroll has been our biggest source of business that we've been able to give and receive from. Because people working with numbers are the first ones to see the problems, and first people to recommend to their clients, maybe you should have someone double check this. Maybe you should bring in some extra help to get this job done. So these are all great people for me to meet, and great people that I can connect you to as well. So this is the current accounting stuff. This is as exciting as it gets, I'm sorry. The US GAAP, that is our general accounting principles for the United States, have changed as of 2 years ago, but it's still in effect right now. By the end of this year, every private company is supposed to change how they recognize revenue. Basically, they want the US to be more comparable to Europe, so that companies here and investors internationally can be communicating on the same terms. It is a simplified process, but it does get very complicated for companies with a lot of lease agreements, a lot of contracts, or if they have multiple deliverables. Like a software company that also supplies hardware, you have to figure out when you're recognizing like the cash coming in and out based on subscriptions, based on monthly payments, stuff like that. It gets very, very complicated, and everyone is legally obligated to change by the end of this year. So it is an issue that's popping up more and more frequently now.
Is that for every size company?
Every company, yes.
From cash
Public,
basis to
private,
revenue.
doesn't matter, all of them. So this is something we're regularly asked to help with, because we've got the consultants who have specialized in transitioning from ASC 605 to 606. Again, that is as in-depth as I can get about it, because I've watched hour-long YouTube lectures on it, and it is just so dull that I can't get much farther than that. I know it's important, and I can happily connect you with somebody who's an actual expert on a topic. This is why I'm not an accountant, guys. And then you probably have seen this in the news, because this was just the past couple weeks it's been important. Has anyone purchased anything from Wayfair? furniture, interior design, stuff like that. So South Dakota went and sued them because South Dakota does not have income tax or corporate taxes like that. So they don't have a lot of extra money coming in via taxes. And Wayfair, which is not located in South Dakota, was not charging taxes to anyone purchasing, Wayfair among other companies, was not charging taxes if you bought a couch on their website. So their taxes were not getting funneled to the state for sales tax. So this just came down with the Supreme Court, I think it was a week ago. It was a 40-year precedent that they overturned. Officially, doesn't matter if you're a big company like Amazon or if you sell a couple things on Etsy, you have to charge sales tax based on where you're selling it to. So if you let's say I sell handbags on Amazon and I live in California. If I sell stuff to Florida residents, I have to charge Florida state taxes and that gets sent to Florida. So this is a big deal because companies like Amazon, of course, are now compliant because Amazon's one of the biggest people in this space. But companies like Wayfair, who are very large companies as well, they weren't doing this. So the states weren't getting their proper taxes, which calculated was over $13 billion to the states.
Oh my gosh.
Technically, if any of you have filed a personal return before, you know that there is a little miscellaneous section where you add up all of your online purchases and calculate if you have paid the correct sales taxes. 1% of people do this. I personally have never done that. I have glossed over that, which technically is illegal, and now they're coming down hard on people for not doing that. But they're not coming down on the individual, they're coming down on the company. So companies are now motivated to make sure they're charging the right amount of sales tax and sending it to the right states because they will get fined if the people aren't paying it. So this is big news. This is the big thing that's changing. Again, we don't do taxes, but we can come in and get people prepared for making sure all of their sales taxes are done. To be registered to sell in each state is over $500. So it's costly, and we have a partnership with a tax firm that will do this at like bundled rates and keep the cost down and stuff like that. But if you want to sell in all 50 states, you have to make sure you've got every single state, county, and city tax code that you're applying to. They're massive, and they change potentially every quarter, so it's very complicated. If you're selling in the same state, of course, if you're selling, it's a lot more straightforward. Like if you have a service that you're providing, or not service necessarily, but if a product that you're supplying in California to California residents, and if it's a local thing, very straightforward. But online retail, e-commerce is massively affected by this. So,
Do you want questions now or later?
I think the next slide is questions actually, so we'll go into, yeah, go for it.
So what about people who sell on eBay, for example? They just sell one or two things sometimes.
I believe eBay is in this lawsuit actually, because it wasn't just Wayfair. Wayfair was the big name, but I think there's 4 or 5 other companies that were involved in it. I personally don't know.
So I would think eBay would have to take care of that.
So
Yeah.
what happens is wherever, it'll probably be set up on an automatic system that wherever that state is that you're selling, will calculate and it'll be added in, but eBay will end up keeping it and renetting it.
Right.
Which is how most of the companies are. They have specific platforms that they add to their website that calculate it for the seller, but some haven't done it yet, like Wayfair, which was the
And
problem.
Etsy?
When is this
I
guy
think
going
so.
to apply?
Now.
Right now.
Yeah, because people are now retroactively they're liable for their taxes that they haven't paid. So this is big because the firm we've partnered with is going in to a company and saying, okay, so this is how much you haven't paid in sales taxes to these states or whatever. There's 3 options you can do. You can pay it now, or you can register moving forward and hope nobody really catches on because
It's a 40-year precedent, so
it's
back.
40 years ago is when they, so this has been in effect until, for 40 years before this. This hasn't existed. So, yeah. Yeah, it's effective as of now. So that's why they're jumping on it. It's going to be slow to pick up and for the government, the federal government, to go and start enforcing this left and right. The big name Wayfair is going to get, massive fines because they're involved in the lawsuit. But, it is, as you're filing business taxes every quarter, technically every month, the sales tax is supposed to be ongoing now.
That's for products, not services, like
Products.
what Mike and I.
Products, yes.
But if I sell a water bottle,
I'm supposed to get sales tax.
A lot of businesses will have a separate account. A lot of businesses will have a separate account just to hold their sales
You
tax
do have,
money.
Yeah,
in Board of Equalization, even for small
Yeah.
companies
Yeah.
in the state of, or in the county, Board of Equalization for sales tax, even small ones.
Which is part of the conversation they're having with small business owners.
Yeah.
The tax firm that we partnered with is, how much would you get fined? How much would you owe? Like, what, we wanna balance, you know, if you have to pay $10 million, you should probably do that now instead of $100 million later. But for smaller companies, they give them an estimate. They say, this is how much you owe, you can pay it now with these fines added on for it being late, or you can just do moving forward and, you know, fingers crossed that nothing really happens.
How far back are they going this year?
What do you mean?
Or
For,
when they sit and say, well, this is what you should pay now based on what you owe.
based all time, pretty much. So the tax firm that we're working with would go
I
back
think we're
3
good
years.
for a few years, Mike.
Yeah, no, services and stuff like that is not included, professional services aren't taxed,
I'm
but
talking about.
the actual products is, yeah, yeah.
So if you're,
Does it include like occupancy tax? Or is that totally separate thing?
I'm pretty sure that's completely separate.
Based out of Airbnb.
It'd be just products and stuff.
oh, yeah.
Tahoe, yeah.
So this is the exciting
Well, not
accounting,
necessarily
guys.
some-
This is the
giving
most
someone
interesting it
something.
gets.
So,
Well, that is everything I had to go over. I hope it was at least slightly informational, and
So,
any other questions?
yeah, great referrals for you, I think that's always excellent.
Great referrals from me are companies that have somebody missing, say their CFO's on maternity leave or their controller just left. We can do the interim for them, or maybe they don't even need a full-time person, and we can have that conversation with them on, is it cost effective to just have somebody 3 days a week? Those are great referrals for me, and then also people, generally the way we speak with bankers is if they get denied for a loan, because their books are a mess, they don't know what bankers wanna see, they don't know what CPAs wanna see. That's the easiest place to bring us in, just to make sure we can get the bank package together, we can explain to them which financial statements they need, what's important for a banker, what's important to look at and be able to know their numbers, how much cash they have. Stuff like that is the easiest
because the
referrals.
biggest problem we come into is, of course, the business doesn't wanna pay taxes. So they show that they make no
Right.
money. But if they want a loan, they have to
Yeah.
show they make money, or we can't lend to them, right?
So then you're going off of P and L and
Yeah.
stuff, and then it has to be proper.
Cash flow.
So how small of a company?
We've worked with pre-revenue startups before. We're looking for, you know, small project, 4 or 5 hours of CFO level work to connect them to the right venture capital or private equity guys. But then we've also worked with companies that are, the largest one out here is $7 billion in revenue, massive biopharma company. We've got the resources to work in any space, any size. So it's just a matter of having a conversation with them and finding if we can provide exactly what they're looking. Because so often people are like, oh, I need an accountant, and we come in and they're like, can you do our taxes? No, that's not what we do. I'll find you a CPA.
I'll just put in a tiny testimonial. We're growing and we got a bookkeeper to come on 20 hours a month, and she didn't know QuickBooks well enough, and so we hired Now CFO for I think 2 months for some training to train
And to
our
help
bookkeeper
the process.
into QuickBooks and the transition with payroll, and he did a fabulous job. It was a tight, clean budget, knew ahead of time how much we were gonna pay, and it was a beautiful service. And I plan to use her again once we continue growing.
And then the other thing I think you did mention, I've seen you guys do, when you've had some, unfortunately, thinking the CFO or whoever's in charge of finances is embezzling money. They'll come in and check and kind of catch the person, right?
And that's when we call somebody like, right,
Right.
to get somebody sued.
That's
That's
right.
right.
Go sue them. Yeah, because unfortunately, right?
It does happen, yeah, business is very dramatic, as I'm realizing. The first client I visited when I started a year and a couple months ago now was the CFO was the sister-in-law who stole over $2 million from the company.
I was gonna
Oh
say
my
that's
gosh.
typical, because
It
when
is
I was in
typical.
the software business.
Yeah. I've
training,
seen that a lot.
the Florida
Yeah.
stars were usually the
too
kids that
tempting.
took over the company.
Got a case right now involving that.
Statistics in nonprofit, Tom, the statistic in nonprofits that 85% of nonprofits report fraud.
Really?
85% or have internal fraud. Yeah, and
No.
to know.
Yeah.
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 Wow. No.